For today's video, we are on location in my front yard. We're gonna need to use our imaginations a little bit, but I have spent a lot of money on special effects, as you're gonna see a little bit later on in the video. But the topic we are covering is the most important concept in all of trading. It's the one that I hear time and time again. If you are not familiar with the podcast that I run, I do offer a podcast where we interview people, and we're up well over 60 episodes at the time of this recording. And it's come up multiple times again, this whole concept, how it has come in bit traders and how it has just caused massive headaches and really just led people down the path that you don't want to go on. I have covered this before, but more so in a numerical sense. But now I want to do kind of an analogy, try to act something out, and hopefully what you're seeing is totally stupid, but it's what a lot of people do in trading. So let's get started. So you may be thinking, wait, why? Who is this guy sitting there in bare feet and shorts? Hey, I'm a trader. I work from home. You should be glad that I'm not in my normal attire, which would be my underwear. So at least thank me for that. So here we have the highway. And the highway has lots of semis on it. Hopefully that's not a revelation to anybody. If you've ever driven on a highway, you know that there's all sorts of big vehicles. And in this situation, we have just semis, no cars, all semis. And here come the special effects that I was talking about. I spent a lot of money on this. So these are the semis that are on our highway. Hey, did you like those sound effects? Anyways, all right. So we have our highway, we have the semis that are on it, and I am going to cross the highway. Now you may be thinking, well, geez, crossing a highway is kind of dangerous. I would agree. But I'm going to cross it like this. This is supposed to be a blindfold, but I couldn't find any, so I'm just going to use this. So I'm going to cross the highway with big old semis like this. So here we go. I hope I don't run into you. Nay, where's the end of the drive? There we go. Am I still on video? Hey, I made it. I made it. I just crossed the highway blindfolded. I guess that's the way to do it. I'm going to do it again. I've made it again. Now, of course, I don't need to sit here and tell you that you shouldn't be crossing the highway with a blindfold on. That's a stupid idea. But I crossed it 2 times and I was successful. Therefore, hey, I guess that is a smart way to do it. I guess that is, I know what I'm doing. I know how to properly cross the highway. Now, of course not, but people do this all the time in their trading. They're out there totally gambling. They're out there with no trade plan, but they're making money. They're making money. But what are they really doing? They're just forming bad habits. I think we can all agree that crossing the highway blindfolded when there's semis coming is probably a bad habit. If you're going to do it, at least take off the blindfold. But people do it with trading. Wow. I made money. Wow, I made money again. 3, 4, 5 times. Let's go back to the highway example. I could cross that highway 10 times in a row, blindfolded. And I could be making money every single time. I could be making it to the other side. But how many times does it take for all those other 10 times to just not even matter anymore? Just once. All it takes is one time where it doesn't go right. Now, this is a little extreme case, but if I get hit by a semi, all those other 10 times don't matter. Same with trading. And again, I've heard it multiple times. Yeah, I was winning and I was winning. And these people, are commenting in hindsight. So they always say, well, in hindsight, I didn't know what I was doing. But at that time, I felt like I knew what I was doing. But then there's just that one trade, maybe 2 trades, where they get hit by the semi. And then all those previous trades are totally wiped out. Sometimes not only are they wiped out, but then they lose even more money on top of it. And it's very, very common. And it goes back to what kind of habits are you forming as a trader? Are you out there crossing the street with a blindfold on when there's semis coming? A lot of people are. So the point here being is, just because you may be making money, that does not mean that you actually know what you're doing. Just because I can cross the highway multiple times being blindfolded doesn't mean that I know what I'm doing. Doesn't mean that that's a good habit. That's a terrible habit to be forming, and at some point it's going to come up and bite you. Or in our example, it's going to steamroll you right over. So keep that in mind and be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, do I really know what I'm doing? Just because you're making money does not mean that you know what you're doing. And this all circles back to what are the habits you're forming as a trader. So what I want you to do is watch the video that's now popping up on the screen. It covers the same concept, but more so from a numerical perspective and more so from a trading perspective, not so much an analogy, but looking at actual numbers. And the title of that video is All Wins Are Not Created Equal. Just because you have a win doesn't really mean it's a win. Just because you cross the street blindfolded doesn't really mean that it's a win in terms of, hey, yeah, that was something good to be doing. So watch that video, and that one complemented with this analogy. Hopefully you really see how the two mold together, and you realize, yeah, I may very well be playing a pretty risky game out there, because that is the cruel trick that the market plays on people. Is it lets them build up confidence. It gives them fool's gold. It says, yeah, keep crossing that highway with the blindfold on. That's a good habit to be forming, because you've done it 5 times in a row. You have 7 winners in a row. Your strategy's working. You know what you're doing. In fact, why don't you increase your size? Why don't you put more money in? And usually that's when the semi shows up, and it's just not a pretty picture. So reevaluate yourself. Be honest with yourself. Do a self-audit, and take a look at kind of where you're standing in regards to your wins, because again, all wins are not created equal. If you found this video helpful, and if you want to donate, since of all the special effects no, I'm kidding about that. But if you found it helpful, click that like button, leave a comment below. Maybe share a story about how you thought you were doing so well, but it was really just fool's gold. It was bad habits that you were forming. And keep that in mind as a trader. The market is a tricky place, and it does like to give people's fool's gold only to come and, just flatten people like a semi would.